Hi everybody, my name is Philip Hack. I'm with North Carolina State University and I have created this pre-service instructional video about the novel A Long Walk to Water. I just want to express a huge welcome to you and anyone else that would like to use this in their classrooms to introduce the novel. This instructional video connects contextual information from the novel, which was written by Linda Sue Park, and highlights Sudan historical conflict novel. The other aspect of the video will display how the working theme of conflict is presented throughout the whole novel. Now we'll take a look at Sudan historical background knowledge. In A Long Walk to Water, written by Linda Sue Park, presents Silva and Nile in South Sudan in 1985. In 1985, Sudan is experiencing a major conflict, the conflict of a civil war called the Second Sudanese Civil War in 1983 to 2005. So we got South Sudan over here where Naya and Selva is presented. The first Sudanese Civil War in 1956 to 72 was after northern Sudan received independence from Britain. Continuing historical content of Sudan, the first Civil War ended in 1972 due to a peace agreement with Britain. The second Civil War, Selva is presented. The Civil War is a conflict of a ruling government trying to enforce citizens to join the Islamic faith. Now we'll take a look at the literary theme of conflict. What is conflict? There's many types of conflict in literature. We will focus on 7 types of conflict within this instructional video. The first type of conflict, man versus nature. Then we got man versus man, man versus environment, man versus supernatural, man versus machine, man versus God, and man versus himself. However, we need to define the word conflict. Conflict can be defined as a serious disagreement or argument, typically a protracted one, or conflict can be defined as to be incompatible or at variance with another person or object, aka a clash. Then we have Sudanese second Civil War. How is the Second Civil War conflict? Well, there's about 5 conflicts within the Civil War. We got religious freedom, government forcing the entire country to be a Islamic faith. Number 2, scared resources, food, water, medicine, cattle are very scarce. They do live in South Sudan where it's very, as you would say, desert conditions. Conflict 2, territorial disputes between the Nuru and the Dinka tribe. And we got number 4, farmers versus herders. And then we got number 5, power of the oil fields. Silva's character conflicts within the novel. We got Silva versus nature, rough travel terrain, lack of food, water, and shelter as he moves through southern Sudan to Ethiopia refugee camps. Selva versus man, the rebels trying to enforce people into the militia. We got Selva versus society and environment, lack of water, rough weather conditions, and tribal relationships. And then we got Selva versus himself. He battles with himself trying to find freedom and his family. We also have Selva versus God, where he battles with the question, how can God allow such hate in the world? And then also you can take a look at, we got a little conflict diagram here, which maybe can help you out a little bit more if you're still a little confused on the 7 types of conflict. Then we have tribal conflict. A Dinka man, Selva's tribe, on the left, is in conflict with the Nuru man, Naya's tribe, the second main character, on the right here. These two tribes within the Long Walk of Water dispute over territorial claims and also free rights to water. Also within the novel, it discusses the conflict in Sudan, the environmental society water crisis. Water is rare for the villagers in Sudan. Villagers walk miles to receive and bring back water to their village, like Naya does for her village. Kind of a image describing or explaining how Naya carries water back and forth to her village. And then also Naya and Selva have hard time getting clean water. Naya conflict is solved by Selva installing a water well in Naya's territory. Ironic, they're both against each other, and they're both helping each other. In addition, Selva is part of the so-called Lost Boys. The Lost Boys are young boys who fled Sudan in 1980s. Well, that's pretty much what Selva did when he fled to Ethiopia for a refugee camp. They were not just homeless, they had no country to call home. Many lived in refugee camps for decades. Others returned home years later to find their families dead. Some were able to go to the United States to start over. Luckily enough, Selva was one of those to go to the United States to start over and to help Naya eventually receive a water well in her village. The Lost Boys, if you can think of a good connection to mainstream media, is think of the Orphanage Boys and Peter Pan. Well, now talking about a instructional video that can help clear up any kind of miscommunication will be a video of Sudani's Second War and how the war connects to the 21st century Sudan.
Erupted in Juba, South Sudan's capital, between different factions of the South Sudan's leading party, the Sudan People's Liberation Movement. The SPLM has an affiliated army called the Sudan People's Liberation Army. Both army and movement are grouped under the SPLMA, which is a political party, a liberation movement, and an affiliated army. The two main ethnic groups forming the SPLM are the Dinka and the Nuer. The leader of the Dinka is the elected South Sudanese president, Salva Kiir. The Nuer are headed by his vice president, Riek Machar. Accounts differ as to why the fighting started. The government of South Sudan claims it was Riek Machar who was planning a coup to overthrow President Kiir. Machar denied this, arguing that Kiir was trying to quash political opposition. The president arrested 11 of the top party members, some of whom were government ministers. Riek Machar managed to escape from Juba and on December 18th publicly called for Kiir's overthrow. By December 23rd, forces claimed loyalty to the ex-vice president, taking control of the capitals of Jonglei and Unity states, as well as the oil fields in Unity and Upper Nile states. Riek Machar is now the political leader of the SPLMA in opposition. This politico-military movement is composed of defectors of the South Sudanese army, ex-government officials, and aided by other small militias belonging to a variety of ethnic groups tired of President Kiir's dictatorial tendencies. The fighting that had started in Juba in December took to the rest of the country, killing more than 10,000 people in April 2014. Including thousands of civilians, and displacing more than a million South Sudanese fleeing the war. The roots of this conflict can be traced back to the Second War of Independence in South Sudan, which started in 1983 and ended in 2005. The South Sudanese were divided between conflicting ethnic groups who all had a common enemy, Sudan, so they joined forces under the SPLM. The war ended with a comprehensive peace agreement which gave 6 years to the SPLM to transform its liberation movement into a cohesive political party capable government after independence in 2011. The aim was for the SPLM to democratize its movement and give representation to the various political strands and ethnic groups under its umbrella organization. Once the war was over, the common goal of independence disappeared, and tensions resurfaced between groups in South Sudan. However, the SPLM leadership neglected minority discontent and focused on winning internal political battles to keep leading the party. South Sudanese leaders dismissed their duty of nation building, did not make the reforms they needed to avoid this crisis. What started as a political struggle has now slipped into an ethnic conflict, as the majority of the Dinka population supports Kir, and the Nuer widely support Machar. In South Sudan, political affiliations often follow ethnic lines. There are many reports of Dinka fighters killing Nuer civilians and vice versa. In between this major divide, young fighters from other ethnic groups have mobilized and are responding to attacks against community members elsewhere in a widening circle of reprisal and revenge. There have already been 2 unsuccessful attempts at ceasefires made by the Intergovernmental Authority on Development in Addis Ababa. However, at the beginning of June 2014, Kir and Machar agreed to a truce, forcing the parties to form a transitional government of national unity within 60 days. If this fails, neighbouring countries in the US have promised to impose sanctions on the parties involved in the war.
Well, there you got it. A little bit of historical background information, contextualizing it to a literary theme of conflict within a literary novel called A Long Walk to Water, written by Linda Sue Park. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the show. Hopefully y'all will get some good instructional knowledge, and hopefully you will be able to use this instructional video as a launching point to introducing the novel A Long Walk to Water. Have a good day. Thanks for having me.